Hello everybody, welcome to the Generic Cappy YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I am Generic Cappy, and tomorrow we have a general Nintendo Direct. It's not even tomorrow, it's in less than 24 hours we have a general Nintendo Direct at the time I'm recording this video. Um, the Direct will be happening on September 13th, 2022 if you're in the Americas. That could be the date worldwide. It depends on time zones, I believe, but that could be the date worldwide. If you are living in the US, the times for the Direct is a lot earlier than a general Nintendo Direct usually happens. This Direct will be happening at 7 a.m. PST or PDT and 10 a.m. EST. So, it's a lot earlier. There's probably some reasons for that I'll go into in a little bit, but we finally have a general Nintendo Direct. It's the first one since the February Direct. So I shouldn't really be saying we finally have one, but it's been rumored for a very long time that we'd be getting a Nintendo Direct eventually this year, and this will be our September Nintendo Direct. So, as a direct effect of a Nintendo Direct being announced, I am doing a predictions video for what we could see tomorrow, what we should see tomorrow, and then some of the things that I want to see that I don't think will be in the Direct. Some of them may be. Some of the things that I want to see probably do correlate with things that could be in the Direct. But those predictions will probably be a lot more out there of just, general Nintendo Direct, Nintendo things. Maybe one or two third-party games that I think would be pretty cool on the Switch. But, it's very exciting. Again, this has been something that's been rumored for since May. Technically we began rumors for a general Nintendo Direct, and since May we've had a partner showcase, we've had 2 game directs, we've had a bunch of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet trailers, we've had a bunch of trailers for games that will be coming out this year, like Bayonetta 3, and we've had the release of a eShop game called Kirby Dream Buffet, and then the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon 3, and Mario Strikers Battle League. So we've and Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. So we've had a lot of Nintendo goodies over the last couple of months, and now it's finally being I guess capped off, or we're leading into just another whole era of more Nintendo goodies with this Nintendo Direct. So, as I mentioned earlier, this video will be split in, well, I didn't mention it earlier. This video will be split into 3 different parts, or a handful of different parts. It could be more than 3, but it's probably not going to be less than 3. But the first part will be addressing most of the things that we will probably see in this Direct. Nintendo did say that it is going to be mostly focused on winter 2022 games, so that could mean, just this year. So that means what's coming out in October, November, December, or that could extend all the way into the end of March. So, that's about 6 months that we could see games for. So we'll probably see, games like Bayonetta 3. That's already been previously announced. So this section will be for games that that's already been announced, but we'll probably see again in the Direct. And then the following section will be games that have been rumored that we will see. So there's been a lot of rumors about the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker ports from the Wii U. So, that's something that that's probably the most likely one out of all the rumors that we've seen for games that we will see tomorrow, or in a Nintendo Direct in the future, being that the one now is the September 2022 Nintendo Direct. So yeah, and then the final part, or what is presumed to be the final part, as I'm recording this video in real time, will be just a prediction section. So it'll be predictions of my own, maybe a handful of predictions that I've been able to feel out from, the last couple of months about what games people want to see. But a lot of it will be stuff that I personally want to see on Nintendo Switch, or just really out there predictions. And then so those are going to be the 3 main topics of this video. So I hope you're all excited for Nintendo Direct, and let's just get straight into the discussion part of this video. So the first part of this video that I mention that I want to start off with is talking about the games that we already know that's going to be coming out this year or has already been revealed for the Switch. Both in the sense of third parties and third parties exclusively, third party exclusives, normal third parties, and then just obviously some first party games. So obviously the three big ones are probably Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hopes or Sparks of Hope, Bayonetta 3, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Um, if any of those show up here, which I'm assuming at least two of them will, being Pokemon and Bayonetta 3, I think Bayonetta 3 has the highest chance of showing up just because we haven't seen the game in a little while. Um, I think the last time they released a trailer was the release date trailer in June or at the beginning of July. So it's been around 2 months, 3 months since that look of the game came out. So it'd be a good time to show it off, just because it's also coming out within I think a month and a half, and they also have Bayonetta 1 coming to Nintendo Switch in I think less than 20 days. So Bayonetta's got a lot of games coming on the Switch. And then obviously we have Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. The reason why I do not think that one has a high chance, or as high of a chance, of showing up in this direct as Bayonetta 3 is just because we got a trailer on Saturday during the Ubisoft Forward where they revealed Rayman as a DLC character. So maybe they recap on that. They talk about how Rayman's going to be a character in the game. But I don't think anything new is going to come out of that besides maybe some gameplay. And that'll probably be the same thing for Bayonetta 3. Probably see another gameplay trailer. And then obviously Pokemon. Pokemon's been getting trailers every week. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Pokemon Company had a trailer in this direct. Or I guess Pokemon Company / Nintendo had a trailer in this direct for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That would probably reveal a new Pokemon, maybe a new gym leader, maybe a character. The September 2019 Nintendo Direct had a focus on Pokemon Sword and Shield, so I guess there is precedence for Nintendo. Pokemon having a presence in the September Directs, but what they revealed in the most recent trailer for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was pretty much what they talked about in the Sword and Shield trailer or the Sword and Shield segment in September of 2019. So if there is a trailer here, it might recap some of the things that they've already talked about in trailers, and then maybe reveal one new Pokemon. Besides that, we also have a couple of third parties that isn't a all-inclusive list of the games that they've revealed, but we have Harvestella coming out soon. We have Persona 5 coming out on the Switch. We have games like Minecraft Legends and Sonic Frontiers and Return to Monkey Island. Disney Dreamlight Valley just recently came out on the Switch. Dragon Quest Treasures. So there's a lot of Nier Automata. So we have a lot of third parties that also could appear in this direct. That has already been announced for Switch. So I think on that end of the announcements, this direct obviously probably will be like most directs, where about 30% of it is first party games, and then the other 70% are third party games. So I think we'll see a good amount of those. There's also indies like Hollow Knight and Sports Story that might appear in this direct. So again, there's a lot to talk about in terms of indies and third parties and what they can bring to this direct, because there's a lot coming out, obviously, in line with a bunch of with other consoles as well. There's also been some delays for games that have been announced for Switch from the third parties, like Marvel's Midnight Suns and there's been a couple of them. So yeah. Now, at the same time, a lot of these games could also just appear in the sizzle reel that they usually do in the direct. So a lot of these games don't have to have like a specific segment about directed about those games, especially if the ones that have already released on other consoles, like No Man's Sky and Near Automata, and games like Life is Strange, that stuff that's coming to Switch this year. So you know, I think third parties will definitely bring some good games for Nintendo. And there's also some games I want to speculate from third parties that could appear in this direct that hasn't been announced yet. So let's just get straight into that segment of this video. So before we get into games that have been rumored to come to Nintendo Switch, both first party and third party, I do want to go into some games that have been promised post-launch updates that we either have heard a little bit about because they've had an update release, but it was a little while ago, so this would be around the time that they would presumably release the next update for those games, as well as games that have recently came out that also could have post-launch updates or have been guaranteed post-launch updates, but since they're released so recently, we might not hear about those ones. The first game I want to talk about is Mario Strikers Battle League, which got its first update about 2 months ago. That added Daisy and Shy Guy, as well as new stadium and new gear set. And based on the graphic that they released with that update, I believe that that's probably going to be the same structure that we get for other post-launch endeavors for the game. And for the year, they've already guaranteed there's going to be 2 of those. So since it was about 2 months ago, it's already September, I wouldn't be surprised if we hear about the next update. Actually, I would actually be a little confused if we didn't hear about the next update, because presumably it would be this month and then maybe November. This update could come out after the direct. It could be a shadow drop. Maybe it would be October, December, that kind of release structure. But I do think we'll hear about it. If that's through one of the new characters that they're going to release for the game, or through a new stadium, or even through the whole update being shown and then being released. I don't think we'll hear about both updates because they could probably give a little bit time. They can focus on this one, give this one some press time, and then in November have another big tweet about Battle League with the last 2 characters, the last main character they released for the year, with maybe 1 or 2 new stages, something like that. At the same time, we also have another Mario game that has been getting post-launch updates. It was a game that came out in 2017, or technically 2014, if you want to look at the Wii U version, but it's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or Mario Kart 8 as a whole, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I kind of think we might not hear about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in this this direct, because the most recent wave are released released about a month ago. So if they guaranteed there's gonna be 6 waves. So if anything, I could see them maybe releasing the next wave in November. So if they do want to talk about it, maybe they preview maybe 2 of the new tracks of sorts for the 8 that they will be releasing throughout the year, or with the next wave. There's been some rumors I've been seeing, going a little bit into speculatory part of this video, but that the game could get a free update. I don't know how reliable that is, so that's not something we will focus too much on, but I do think there's a possibility we see at least one of the new tracks for the next wave. I don't think we'll see the whole wave, and I don't think the next wave will release for a couple of months, maybe until the end of October. Maybe it's Halloween themed. Yes, maybe that is the case. Maybe they would release a Halloween themed track set to go along, because the most recent track set had a ice cream dessert kind of theme, and that kind of fits in with the summer vibe when it released. So I wouldn't be surprised maybe if it's maybe the big tour track that they had to is one of the Halloween tracks from Tour. I think Tour has a couple Halloween tracks that they can add, or spooky tracks of sorts. And then we also have Nintendo Switch Sports, which besides Mario Strikers Battle League, I think would be the second likely case to get talks about its post-launch updates, just because again it's been about 2 months since they released the last Nintendo Switch Sports update, which added new mechanics to volleyball and added the ability to use the leg strap in soccer. The next update that they talked about was for golf, and they were saying it's going to release during the fall. We're getting, pretty close to fall now. That I think, it'd be pretty cool to talk about it. And then if they have any updates after golf comes out, they could talk about, any new sports they're going to add. I don't think the game's going to have paid content, post-launch paid content. But if it does, maybe they put a couple of sports behind that and they release like a sports pack or something, at some point during the year or early next year. But I do think we hear at least about golf. We see some of the golf courses that they have planned for the game. Again, speculatory, but I don't know if it's. I've been seeing that a lot of the golf courses have been, in the data for the game. So there's been like a couple ones that they're bringing back from the old games, presumably. So I don't know if that's what they'll show off. Maybe try to bring up some nostalgia for the the golf courses. But maybe that's the shadow drop. That's the big update shadow drop that we get from this direct. Being they release golf for Nintendo Switch Sports. I think that'd be kind of interesting. But besides that, we have a couple of other games that I don't know if they'll talk about the post-launch update structure of it. Monster Hunter Rise, which recently got its Sunbreak update. They could talk about that as a totality, as an update. Just to highlight, because Nintendo, I believe published the game on Switch, so it would probably be kind of interesting. I mean, not interesting, but it might be a little bit in their favor to talk about Sunbreak. Try to get some more people to buy it. And then we also have Splatoon 3, which the Splatoon 3 Direct happened about a month ago, and Splatoon 3 just released on Friday. So I don't think that they would talk about Splatoon 3's post-launch structure, because I think they're gonna release probably an update every 2-3 months, based on maybe every 4 months, because they said there's gonna be 8 catalogs for the game, and they said the game's gonna be supported for 2 years. So 8 catalogs, maybe every 4 months to talk about content they're gonna add to the game. But besides that, though we might see the paid DLC. Actually, probably not, because that the game just released. Though the game has sold over 3 million copies in Japan, making it the biggest launch for a game ever in Japan, which is really interesting. I think that's really cool, because I do like the game. The game's very fun. And then we have Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I believe is in the same type of category. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 does have an expansion pass that I believe has dates that they set out that content will be released during. So maybe we see the first update. I don't think we'll see content from the major expansion that they're planning to add to the game. I think that's the last expansion. Besides maybe a tease of it, but I think maybe we'll see if they're adding any new story quests. I think maybe they'll allude to those in the direct. Again, I think both these games might be in the direct as reminders that they are out. Maybe not Xenoblade Chronicles, because that's been out for about a month now. But I think Splatoon maybe. And a reminder that Splatoon 3 just came out, and then maybe the direct's been out, probably been made for a couple of weeks now, but I think it'd be kind of interesting. I mean, they might talk about Splatoon 3 as a whole. We'll see about that one. And then the final game that could get post-launch updates, from my memory at least, is Fire Emblem 3 Hopes. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. Usually the Warriors games get new updates that have new quests and some new characters. 3 Hopes is a little different because it is set in the 3 houses storyline, so you can't really add new characters to that unless you add characters that you've already would be specific for 3 Hopes, like the protagonists in the game. So I think that's maybe 50-50. If it does have post-launch content, I do think he'll be in this direct, because the game has been released for about 3 months now. So it would be, this would be around the time that they could talk about post-launch updates. But besides that, there's probably some third-party games that will get post-launch, post-launch talk. you hear about them in terms of their post-launch content, such as, um, you know, maybe Bayonetta 3. Maybe they'll talk about that Bayonetta 3 is gonna get DLC. That's speculatory. Um, but yeah, you know, there's one game that I do want to talk about though that could get post-launch updates, and that is it recently came out. So let me actually check for that game. Yeah, the game was Lego Star Wars. They talked about Lego Star Wars at the most recent D23 game showcase, and it is getting updates to add some of the characters from a couple of the movies and from the Disney Plus series, multiple series. So they could mention that in this. They could also be in the sizzle reel, where they like bring up that the game is getting post-launch updates, and I think it's also getting a new edition. That's like gonna have all the content in it. So you know that could be something that appears in the sizzle reel. I think if any game that's third party that gets any updates, I think it also would probably be in the sizzle reel because those games are more than likely also on other consoles. So you know it's not that big deal. And as I was getting ready to record this, PlayStation announced a state of play. So you know if any of these games or any third-party games are also on the Switch, gets any like showcase time, they'll also probably be in the PlayStation showcase. So you know, and vice versa. If there's some games that are on Switch, that are probably more popular on PlayStation, those might get talked about more in the PlayStation showcase compared to the Nintendo showcase. In case anyone that's watching this doesn't know about the PlayStation showcase, it is happening about 8 hours after the Nintendo showcase or Nintendo Direct. So I believe at 6 p.m. EST, so 3 p.m. PDT in the Americas, and then you know you gotta adjust the time zone for that. But so in that case, it's happening tomorrow in the Americas, but it's also on Wednesday for most other regions. You know, in Europe and Asia, and obviously going further that way. But yeah. But besides that, now we can talk about some of the games that have been rumored for the Switch. So there's also a couple of games that are rumored to be not just in this Direct, but just coming to Switch in general. So even if they're not in this Direct, they may or may not exist. Some of these games have been just recently getting rumored, and some of them have been rumored for a couple of maybe like a year or two now. So, but if they are real and they are coming out on Nintendo Switch, you know, in next year or so, this would probably be a good time to show them off, especially if they're coming out in the next couple months. As the first game is rumored to be coming out this year, and that is the Metroid Prime Remaster/Remake. You know, we'll get into a little bit of speculation about what this could mean with it being in the Direct a little later in the video, but the first game is the Metroid Prime Remake. I do think out of all the rumors I'm going to say today, there's two that will probably appear in this Direct, and then there's one extra one that if it does appear in this Direct, it will be like the game that they end the entire show on, or entire showcase with. So, but I do think one of those games that is real and will be shown off in this Direct is the Metroid Prime Remake/Remaster, and that's just because there's been way too much talk about it for it not to exist, especially, you know, more recently, where the rumors started to fade away from it being a trilogy, or the trilogy coming to Switch, and just this game specifically. You know, I would be very excited to play Metroid Prime. I haven't ever played it before, so, you know, especially with, again, a little bit speculatory with Metroid Prime 4 probably coming out hopefully within the next 2 years. You know, they would probably want to get Metroid Prime Remaster onto Switch, you know, maybe this year or early next year, and then have maybe 2 and 3, whether that's whether those two games get the same treatment that the remaster for Metroid Prime gets, or, you know, releasing maybe a bundle pack on NS or through the eShop, or, you know, obviously physically. I do think they probably want to get all 3 games eventually on Switch before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. So starting off with a remaster, remake, type game for Metroid Prime 1 will probably be a good start to that. The other games that are, plural, because the other games that I think would appear in this direct, are on the same level as the Metroid Prime remake, is the rumors about Zelda, Twilight Princess, or Twilight Princess HD, and Wind Waker HD from the Wii U coming to Switch. I do think they're real. There's been a lot of talk about how Nintendo holds games for over a year after they're finished, and they have some of these games they haven't even announced yet. So, I think it is real. I do think with Metroid, these are probably the most likely to be real, especially since the HD remaster is already finished, technically from the Wii U. But I do believe that Nintendo does try to get at least one Zelda game out a year. So I'm not sure if these will be in a collection, or maybe they release Twilight Princess this year and then Wind Waker early next year. Again, that goes a little bit more speculation about what's happening with Breath of the Wild 2, which that'll be the first thing I address in my speculation section of this video, because I do think if the Zelda remakes or Zelda remasters for Switch are real, Breath of the Wild 2 is probably in this direct as well. But if they're not, or if Breath of the Wild 2 is farther off than we believe, then maybe these are the games that they are putting out just to hold the Zelda fans over. And well, I don't think they're Zelda fans. I think the whole Nintendo fan base over until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. The last game that I do believe will, is pretty guaranteed to appear in this direct based on rumors is It Takes Two. We're going a little bit into third-party territory with that one, or we are going to third-party territory with that one. But I do think It Takes Two is coming to Switch. There's been, rumors recently that's picked up about It Takes Two coming to Switch, and I think, the game probably does fit, the Switch aesthetic. You have two Joy-Cons, two people can play It Takes Two. I'm not sure if it'll be a cloud version. I doubt it. I doubt it because, It Takes Two is a couch co-op game, even though you can play it online. It is, a game that you can play in couch co-op. So I don't know if they would want to go with that cloud, the cloud edition route with that game. There's not really much to say about It Takes Two because, it's already been out on other consoles and it won Game of the Year last year at the Game Awards. So that probably that talks to the quality of the game. The fact that it won Game of the Year against a good selection of games released last year. I believe Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, those are some pretty good quality games, and It Takes Two beat them. So that speaks to the quality of It Takes Two. Well, the other two games that I have on this rumors list, and now when I speak about rumors, these are games that have been rumored in the last 2 years. There's a couple games that do lean a little bit more into speculation, even though they have been rumored for a very long time. They've been rumored for a very long time, so there's no proof that they're real. Even though one of them has been talked about by Nintendo specifically, but that was, I think, close to 7 years ago, and it hasn't been talked about since. So, well, there's actually 3 games. I forgot about one, so we'll get the last one at the end of this section. But the first game is Fire Emblem. There has been rumors and supposed leak screenshots about 2 months ago of a new Fire Emblem main series game. If those leak screenshots are real, obviously the game is real. But if they're not real, I do think we're obviously going to get a new Fire Emblem eventually. So, this is not really something that looks like a rumor. Obviously, they're probably working on a new Fire Emblem game. But if that was a game that they have been working on, I do think that could be one of their bigger reveals during this direct. Especially since it's been 3 years since the last Fire Emblem game. Obviously, Three Hopes released in June, so I don't think this game would release this year. But it has been 3 years since the last Fire Emblem game, so that kind of fits the release schedule of Fire Emblem games. I think Awakening came out in 2013. Fates came out in 2016. I think there was a remake in 2017 or 2018. Echo Shadow of Valencia, and then Three Houses. So that kind of fits it. Obviously, I don't think this game would come out this year, so it would be, closer to 4 years. Um, but yeah, I do think there's a Fire Emblem game in production, and if it is that game, I think it does appear in this direct. And then the other game, this one's been rumored for a little longer than Fire Emblem. It's been rumored, because I think it was in a rumor that also included the 3D All Stars collection, and I think 3D Kirby. If I could be wrong by that, but I think it was in the same leak that talked about the 3D All Stars collection, which came out close to 2 years ago. That is a new Donkey Kong game. There's been a lot of different takes on what this game is about. So, it could be a 2D Donkey Kong game, a new 2D game. It could be a 2D 3D game, which is like 2D mixed with 3D elements. Or it could be a full-on Donkey Kong 3D game. It is, if I think this would be the game if it is real and it is, far enough in production that would finish this direct, because I think a new Donkey Kong would be very big. Especially, it would probably be bigger than the Metroid remakes and the remastered ports of the Zelda games to the Switch. Especially if it is a 2D, 3D game, or even a 3D Donkey Kong game, like some of the rumors have said, because it's also being supposedly made by the Super Mario Odyssey team. So again, I think there's a key possibility that every one of these games are real. But I think at least 4, or at least, well, the Zelda games count as 1 in this case, but because I think they might be a dual pack. But I think at least 3 out of the 5 of these games are real. There's one more game that I'm not really sure if it's real, because these games I have like some confidence in that they're real. There's a rumor that that F-Zero GX from the GameCube is getting a remaster for the Switch. I do think, well, F-Zero just hasn't had a game in such a long time that I do not know if they would go back to F-Zero. It would probably be an easy game to port or remake for Switch or remaster for Switch. Just because I think it looks pretty good on GameCube already. So, or from the videos I've seen at least. I haven't never played GX, but I think from the videos that I've seen of it, and some of some people talking about it, it could be a relatively easy game to remaster for Switch. So that's something I just wanted to kind of throw out there. I'm not sure if that would appear in this direct. There's been rumors that some GameCube games will be coming to Switch. So, like, some GameCube games will be coming to the NSO on Switch, for like NSO expansion pass members. If that is the case, I could see them doing that with GX, just porting it over, not really having to do much work on it, unlike the Zelda ports, which technically already finished, so they can just release them for, a dual pack, or, $40 each or $60 each, whatever they decide to do with those. And yeah, when it comes, those are pretty much the rumored games. There is one rumored, NSO update, Nintendo Switch Online update, and that is Game Boy games coming to the Switch. I think it's very possible those are real. Just because I think there was also an emulator that was data mined or found in the online system, that's been tested for the last that's been rumored to be tested, that have been fully tested about a year ago. So I wouldn't be surprised. So this is usually the time that they talk about NSO updates. Last year they released, well, not last year around this time. Last year they revealed that N64 and Sega Genesis were coming to Switch on the expansion pass. I think it's possible we see Game Boy games make a appearance or make a splash for NSO. I think the way I believe they'll do it is that they'll have original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games for the the first tier of Nintendo Switch Online, and then Game Boy Advance games for expansion pass members. Especially depending on the Game Boy Advance games they choose. You know, they could choose like the Pokemon games if they're allowed to do those. You know, bring those to NSO. I think that may or may not be worth it to some people to get the expansion pass for. I I definitely play them on the expansion pass. So I think that's there was the other room about the GameCube games, but I think the Game Boy ones are more likely to happen just because you know I don't know if they I don't think they would announce GameCube before they're finished with N64. Um, I know they did that with the SNES and the NES, but I think the N64 lineup needs to be a little more fleshed out before they move to GameCube. But Game Boy, obviously, it's the first portable console that they would add to the service. So they can do one game. They can do the original Game Boy, and that's all they can announce tomorrow. Or they can announce Game Boy and Game Boy Color, or they can do the whole Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and then Game Boy Advance. But yeah, that's pretty much all the rumors that I've seen or know about for this Nintendo Direct. So the last part of this video would just be about pure speculation, pretty much pure speculation. Some predictions that I believe will appear in this Direct, some games that I want to appear in this, want to appear in this Direct, and then some of the more out there things that could be a unexpected surprise. That's kind of a two words that mean the same, but that could be a pretty big surprise if they were to be announced tomorrow. So the final part of this video that I want to talk about is predictions and speculation, which is my favorite type of Nintendo Direct predictions videos, or videos about what we may see in Nintendo Directs, because oftentimes a lot of predictions that we hear are very unlikely to happen. Obviously, some of them have the possibility of happening, but it's more so focused on the series that people want and the games that people are interested in from Nintendo. But leaning towards more of the speculation, there's two games that I just wanted to begin this section off talking about, because they're games we kind of know about. One game we know a lot about, but was delayed indefinitely. Another game that we heard from industry insiders is not very good, so Nintendo may have scrapped it. The first game is obviously Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. Obviously, with ongoing world events, this game has been delayed indefinitely, and like with most people have said about it, about where it is, the current situation of it, it is possible that Nintendo just shadow drops it. Maybe in this Direct they have a 15-second segment of it just saying, giving maybe like a image of it comes up on screen and just have like a release date, or maybe it's in the possible sizzle reel at the end of the Direct, or I think the least likely situation for it is that it's just totally canceled, which it's possible, but since it is a game that's already been finished, as we know through the one person that was able to preload it with their pre-order before I guess Nintendo moved the date on the pre-orders to be some just a placeholder date at that point. So we know the game, but one person was able to preload it and play the game, so we know the game was pretty much finished, and on the Nintendo eShop servers. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with this game. I think if it is shown off in the Direct, it is either a shadow drop or it comes out before the end of the month. Nintendo could also just skip the Direct totally with it, and then next week release a tweet saying that the game's coming out on this specific date and never tweet about it again. Which again, I've never played Advance Wars before, so I don't really have necessarily a opinion, good or bad, about it. But I am excited to play it if it does come out, to learn more about the series, especially since it is the first two games. Maybe, probably not, that they bring other Advance Wars to the Switch, but we first got to get through Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. But yeah, it's a possibility it appears in this direct. I would say 33% chance it appears in this direct, 33% chance that it's just a random tweet within this month, and then 33% chance that it's just totally delayed or totally canceled, or just delayed for another couple of years. But at that point it would probably be canceled, because by that point we would probably already have like another console or Switch iteration or console iteration from Nintendo, or not iteration. Oh yeah, another console from Nintendo. Switch 2 or whatever it may be. The other game is the sequel to 1-2 Switch. We don't know if that exists, but we have heard from industry insiders that heard from people, I guess, that play tested the game, that the game was not great, and that there was recommendations that for Nintendo to either scrap it or possibly just release it on Nintendo Switch Online for people just to download, and then determine for themselves if they like it or not. I think that's probably the route they're going to go with the game if it's not canceled. That they just release it to Nintendo Switch Online members, helps to boost the, I guess, offerings for Nintendo Switch Online. I think it would probably be in the base tier. I don't think it would be in the expansion pass tier, but, it would be like a Pac-Man 99 and Tetris 99. So, I don't think they would cancel it. I think it'd be kind of fun to see how the game actually turned out. This has been a game that's been rumored for a couple of years now, that, we didn't know exists. We do know exists now, but it's not like in a state that may be appealing to most players of, the original 1-2 Switch or just Nintendo fans in general. But again, I think it would be kind of cool to see how the game turned out. Maybe it is fun. Maybe they did do some tweaking to it. Maybe it can be, well, I was saying maybe it can be released, but I think with the publicity, the negative publicity that it got, especially within Nintendo's fans, like circles with Nintendo fans, I don't know if it would sell well. I don't even know if it would sell as good as the first 1-2 Switch. So I think, releasing it on Nintendo Switch Online would probably be the best decision. And who knows, maybe if they did change it a little bit, maybe, it's a good offering for Nintendo Switch Online. But yeah, that's, that is pretty much two games that is kind of speculation territory, kind of in the rumor mill. So I just wanted to put that, to start the section off, because, there's a possibility we see both of these games. There's a possibility we see none of these games, or neither of these games. But yeah, so let's get actually into the predictions and speculation. Okay, so with the main predictions and speculation for this video, I want to start off with two games that in the rumors have games that probably will appear in this direct, being the Legend of Zelda series and in the Metroid series. So obviously with Zelda, it would be if the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild shows up, and then with Metroid, if Metroid Prime 4 shows up. I personally think one of these games will show up in this direct. I can't guarantee that, but I think if you're going to talk, especially if you're going to talk about the Zelda games, I think it would be a little more, people would understand a little bit more if you don't talk about Metroid Prime 4. But if you're going to talk about, Zelda Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, I think you have to bring up Zelda Breath of the Wild in some way. Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 in some ways. And I think this is something that I've seen a lot of people say, but, I think this would be really the only news that they can give for the game thus far. And I think that's going to be the title of what the game is called. Just so, people don't continue calling it the sequel to Breath of the Wild 2, or the sequel to Breath of the Wild, or just Breath of the Wild 2. I don't really have any predictions for what the title can be. Maybe it's like, the Breath of the Wilderness. That's the same thing as Breath of the Wild, but, or maybe it's like Breath of the Wild, something, just, I used to have better names for the sequel to Breath of the Wild. There's a lot of rumors about what the game's gonna be about. Obviously, from the last trailer that we saw during E3 2021, and then the delay trailer that came out earlier this year, we've seen a little bit more of the game. I think if we do get a title reveal, we're also gonna see a trailer for it. And depending on when the game comes out, this could be a pretty beefy trailer. We could see, maybe some of the more plot points. They did say that the title would spoil what the game is about, so maybe they finally show off like what that sort of story thing is, or give a little hint to it, and then they reveal the title of the game. But I think out of between Metroid Prime 4 and Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, I think we probably see Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 first. But that doesn't totally exclude Metroid Prime 4. I think if you are gonna show at the same time, I think if you are gonna show Metroid Prime remake, the remake of the first game, you probably also have to mention Metroid Prime 4 in some way. Maybe if that's just through saying that you're going to show off the game, next year, or we're gonna see the game soon. Maybe during the Game Awards, but they don't say it's gonna happen during the Game Awards. But maybe that's the type of mention that Metroid Prime 4 gets. Obviously, I think Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is also much farther in development, just based because we've seen actual gameplay from the game. We've seen cutscenes from the game. I think we've seen, maybe a couple seconds of gameplay, but we've had 3 different somewhat glimpses at the game. So I think again, especially if Breath of the Wild 2 is sticking to its spring 2021 release or 2022 release or 2023 release date. If it's sticking to that release date, I think that we do see it in this direct. If it does get delayed, we probably also still see it in the direct, but not in a substantial way. Maybe we get a similar trailer to E3 2021. Yes, E3 2021. And then at the end of it, it says like summer 2023 or fall 2023 or something like that. But yeah, and I don't think we get a Metroid Prime like teaser or anything, Metroid Prime 4 teaser. I think maybe we get like another image of the logo, like another like cinematic of what the logo looks like, but I don't think we see much beyond just that for Metroid Prime 4. And then we have a series that is celebrating its anniversary this year, and that is with Kirby. There has been some speculation that, well, I think there was a semi-confirmation that Kirby would be getting more games beyond Kirby Forgotten Land this year, and we already got Kirby Dream Buffet. So if we get one more game in the Kirby series, that wouldn't be too surprising. It could be just another eShop game. Again, they announced Kirby Dream Buffet through a tweet, so I guess technically they could also just announce Kirby, like another Kirby spin-off through another tweet. But I think if you're doing Nintendo Direct, and the game would be announced close to it, I think you would just probably put that in Nintendo Direct. So I think I think there's a good chance we see a Kirby game today, or in the Nintendo Direct, not today, in the Nintendo Direct. At the same time, another series that has a game that already came out this year and has games coming out in close to 2 months from now is Pokemon. I don't think we see anything outside of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is even in this Direct, I don't think we hear any announcements for Pokemon. I think, they've been pretty good with doing their announcements in Pokemon Presents now. Or it used to be Pokemon Directs, but now that Pokemon Presents, they've been doing, those have been pretty good for them. They announced Pokemon Snap in one of those. They announced, obviously, Pokemon Legends, Arceus, and Pokemon Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl in one of those. Obviously, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet got announced in those, and they've been doing a lot of their updates through Pokemon Presents. So I do not think that we will see any Pokemon, related material outside of possibly Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And then, that's pretty much it. When it comes to actual games that could, possibly get an update or a new game shown. That's somewhat in the realm of possibility. Wouldn't be too surprising. So I'm just gonna start off with a pretty major prediction, and that would be that we see Super Mario Odyssey 2. I think that is heavily reliant on if if the Super Mario Odyssey team was actually making the Donkey Kong game. Um, I don't think we actually see Super Mario Odyssey 2 tomorrow, but I think it'd be very exciting to see Super Mario Odyssey 2, or whatever they call it, Super Mario Odyssey like Super. Or super nah, they wouldn't use this word Super twice, but Super Mario Odyssey. I don't know, Super Mario Odyssey, Bowser's Revenge, or something like that. Or Super Mario Bowser's. Nah, they would probably keep Odyssey in the title. Anyways, or just because of Mario Odyssey 2. I think that's heavily reliant on if the Donkey Kong team was, or if the Odyssey team was working on Donkey Kong. And even at that, I don't know if, especially if you're going to show Breath of the Wild 2 in this direct. I don't know if they show off also Odyssey 2. If they do show off Odyssey 2, it's definitely closing the direct. I don't see them opening it with it. I don't see them having it in the middle of the direct. That would definitely be, I mean, I think that'd be even bigger than them talking about Breath of the Wild 2. Or they would be on the same level. So maybe they would go from a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer to an Odyssey 2 trailer. With a lot of these predictions, I think the equivalents I could probably put them to, like, in the surprise level would be the announcement of Nintendo Switch Sports in the February Direct. That's something that I don't think anybody saw happening, and it did happen. So, I mean, I guess anything could really happen when it comes to Nintendo, but, most of this probably won't. But yeah. And then a little more, a little more in the possibility of, like, happening would be Mario Party Superstars DLC. I think if the game does have DLC, it is revealed in the Direct. If it does not have DLC, I don't think... Well, obviously, if it doesn't have DLC, it's not going to be revealed in the Direct. But I think if it is not revealed in the Direct, it does not have any DLC. And they're just going to leave the game. Maybe they're already working on, like, a sequel to the game. Maybe we get the sequel to announced. So I think there's a possibility we see something Super Mario Odyssey. Or Super Mario Party. Or Mario Party in this Direct. If it is DLC, I think they do the same thing they're doing with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where they have a couple of waves or a couple of packs that they release, a couple of stages, maybe a new character, maybe some new mini games. If it is a new game, I think they're going to move on from N64 to GameCube, and they'll probably take a lot of the mini games from the first Super Mario Superstars and put those into the GameCube version. Super Mario Superstars probably 2, sequel to Super Mario Superstars, or Mario Party Superstars. But yeah, I think the DLC is obviously more likely. I think at this point they would have announced DLC if the game had DLC, so that's why I think it's pretty unlikely, but I think it's still more likely than Super Mario Odyssey 2. And yeah, I mean, besides, like, in the Mario franchise, we could see a new 2D Mario. There's been some rumors about new 2D Mario. Kind of. So I guess that's also something else we could see. We obviously are probably not going to see a new Mario Kart announced because the Mario Kart waves are still going on. I don't think we get a new Mario Kart announced until probably 2024 at the earliest. And I think, probably 2025 or 2026. But yeah. And then, I don't think we're not going to see a new Mario Sports game, I don't think, because we already have Mario Strikers released this year. And they usually do Mario Sports game every 2 years. Besides Mario Golf Super Rush to Mario Strikers. So, but those are also made by 2 different teams. So, I guess maybe we could see. Well, I think if we see a Mario Sports game, I think it's gonna be the next Direct, not this one. But yeah, I think that's it for Mario. I don't think we see much of Mario outside of Mario plus Rabbids, and then maybe if Mario makes a cameo in the Donkey Kong game. But, outside of Mario games, there is one more Mario project that they could announce or talk about, and that is the Mario movie. I do not think we'll get a trailer for the Mario movie. I think that if you get a trailer for the Mario movie, I think they learned that a lot of the castings that they made for the Mario movie in the September Direct last year kind of overshadowed a lot of the announcements, especially like the big announcement that Kirby was getting a 3D game. Um, so I don't think they want to do that again. Um, if there's nothing big in this direct, then obviously you put the Mario movie in. That's something big. But I think this direct will have some big things, some major big things. So I do not think we see the Mario movie trailer. I think that's something we'll probably get next month in just a random tweet. Or maybe they announce it like the day before, like we're gonna get there. Maybe they have a Mario movie direct or something like that, but I don't think we see the Mario movie in this direct. And then, we're going a little bit more further down the road, There's a possibility, we've seen 3DS ports come to Switch directly from Nintendo. So I have 2 games. One of them I would really want, and then another one which I would also want, but I know a lot of people all really want it. So I'm going to start off the game that I would want, but I know a lot of other people really, really want it, and that is Tomodachi Life. Obviously it could be a port from the 3DS, or it could be a new game. We've already seen that they still acknowledge, the Mii's, and they have Mii's and Nintendo Switch ports, and I think last year they have released Miitopia as a port from the Switch with I think a little bit new options for your Mii's, and I think a little extra content. So we could get a port for Tomodachi Life. They already have an engine working for that system in retrospect. So Tomodachi Life would be pretty cool if we get an announcement for that. But then the game I would personally really want from the 3DS, or just a totally new game, would be in the Kid Icarus series. I think that would be really awesome. Obviously it could be a port from Kid Icarus Uprising, and I know that's also had some other rumors out there that Nintendo was partnered with Bandai Namco to make a remake of a 3DS game. If that is Kid Icarus Uprising, that'd be bonkers, because that would be absolutely bonkers to see Kid Icarus Uprising in the direct. But like most of these games, I do not think we're gonna see Kid Icarus Uprising. That's my personal one. But from the 3DS, I think that's the game I would want the most from the 3DS. Kid Icarus Uprising. But again, I do not think we're gonna see Kid Icarus Uprising in any form. At least not in this direct. Maybe in a future direct. So now I'm just gonna list a couple of series that maybe we see a game in their series. One of them, I had a game last year, Wario. Maybe we see New Wario Land. Obviously, we just had, as I mentioned, we had WarioWare a year ago at this point. So, or I think maybe just over a year ago. Yeah, just over a year ago. WarioWare Get It Together released. So, maybe we have a new Wario game. Maybe a new game in Wario, something like that. But I guess we see it. We could see a new Wario. I think it's possible. Again, I probably wouldn't put a lot of, if I were to bet on any of these, I would not put a lot of money in any of these. But Wario is one I think we could see in this direct. At the same time, a game that was technically. At the same time, we also have a game that has been again talked about for a little while. Well, it was actually not talked about recently, but a game that was technically announced by Nintendo in 2015 through an interview, I think, with Mr. Miyamoto. Pikmin 4. I do think, maybe not. You know what? Let's just say I think Pikmin 4 does appear in this direct. I think that even if it was rebooted, that they've had enough time to work on it. So you know what? If I had to put anything into one of these predictions, I think Pikmin 4 is released. I think that's gonna be the big one, the big surprise. Not just because that it's not something that people are probably expecting at this point, but just because of the speculation we've had leading up to this point, that if Pikmin 4 is real or if it's not real, and that stuff. So yeah. And then the last game in this kind of series, not series, yeah, franchise list is Star Fox. Same thing with Wario, I guess. Obviously, Star Fox hasn't had a new game in the same amount of time as Wario has, but I think there's a possibility we see a Star Fox game, but I wouldn't put like a lot of, money on it that we can see one. I think we could, well, probably not. I don't think we see a port of Star Fox Zero, even though it's possible. I don't think that people like that in the game enough. I thought it was pretty fun, but I don't think a lot of people like that game enough to get a port of Star Fox Zero, so they're probably working on a new game. So if they do want to show off, if they've been working on a new game since Zero came out, then maybe it's ready to go. This direct is focused, I haven't mentioned this in a little while, but this direct is focused on games that are mainly releasing in the winter. So, winter of this year and probably, up to March of next year. So, that does leave a lot of time. We could see maybe 1 or 2 games this year, and then, maybe 1 or 2 games next year. Depending on Breath of the Wild 2 releases. That could still be part of the, late winter, early spring seasons. So, yeah, I think we see, what? Nah, I don't think we see a Star Fox. I think we see a Star Fox is going to be in the next direct. As we get closer to, the like, where we're starting to talk about like a new generation for Nintendo, like a new next gen Nintendo Switch or something. I think that's when we would see like another Star Fox, or like a new iteration of the Switch. I think that's when we see another Star Fox. That could be like a release game for the console if it's they believe that it's good enough for that. And then there's a couple of other games that we could see. Again, a lot of this doesn't mean that I don't think anybody again predicted that we would see a Warriors game for 3 houses in the February Direct. I think a lot of people predicted that we would see DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Nintendo Switch Sports. So I think there's also the possibility that there's just a surprise in this Direct. A remake of a Fire Emblem game would be not necessarily a surprise. It would be a surprise to me just because of the rumors that there's a Fire Emblem game that's already been finished. Or we can, surprise in the sense that a new game in the Punch-Out series gets announced, which is again probably unlikely because Next Level is working on Mario Strikers. Or it could be, maybe a surprise third-party game gets supported to Nintendo Switch. I know there's been a lot of speculation about a Batman collection, or maybe some of the next-gen sort of Final Fantasy games come to Switch, or maybe that's just a super surprise of a maybe a Microsoft first-party game that maybe Psychonauts or something comes to. That would actually be a pretty big surprise. But maybe Psychonauts or something comes to Switch. That'd be like a very big surprise. But we can also get surprises, obviously, from Nintendo, as I mentioned, Punch-Out, maybe a new Rhythm Heaven. These are games people are asking for, but I don't think a lot of people are expecting them to be, real. A lot of these, actually, most of the games I probably mentioned are would be major surprises in a Nintendo Direct. Yeah, Rhythm Heaven, Punch-Out, games that again, these big surprises. I think Rhythm Heaven is probably more likely than Punch-Out, just because obviously, as I mentioned, Next Level is still working on Strikers. But yeah, there's also, well, no, Luigi's Mansion would be in the same boat as Punch-Out since Next Level is working on Mario Strikers. But maybe a new F-Zero game. I know I mentioned about the port for F-Zero. About F-Zero GX, but maybe a new game in the F-Zero series. Probably not. We could see maybe surprise DLC for a game that was previously announced and we never thought we would get DLC. Like, let's throw it out there. What if Odyssey gets DLC? That'd be kind of funny. You know, everyone's talking about how we want Odyssey 2, and if Odyssey 1 gets DLC. And that pushes and then that just holds us over until whenever Odyssey 2 would release, or if there's even an Odyssey 2. You know, another game would be an Animal Crossing, the spin-off. You know, a Zelda spin-off. I think we're gonna see enough Zelda in this direct, though. I don't think we're gonna see a Zelda spin-off. You know, looking at some predictions I was thinking about some predictions I've seen before. Maybe a Golden Sun game. You know, there's a lot of properties Nintendo hasn't touched in a little while, or hasn't like gone into and made a game about. You know, quite a while. That you know, they're like, I wouldn't say they're like, I don't think any franchise from Nintendo is dead based on, you know, the fact they made a new Kid Icarus game, but you know, there's a lot of things. The one thing I am sure about, you know, and that's kind of will end this speculation predictions part of this video on, is that we will see a one last thing. You know, I'm very confident in that we will see a one last thing in this direct. You know, it could be the Mario movie trailer. It could be, you know, Zelda, maybe Mr. Aonuma, and yeah, Anuma. The director of the Legend of Zelda series comes out and talks about, you know, the remasters, and then we hear about the name of Breath of the Wild 2, maybe Metroid Prime 4, you know, maybe that actually gets a trailer. That could be ending the game, the presentation. We could see Super Mario Odyssey 2, you know. There's not a lot of games that you can technically put at the end of a Nintendo Direct and get a lot of people hyped about. You know, well, I guess you can, really. You could put, I mean, we saw Xenoblade and a couple of directs. We've seen Bayonetta 3 end a direct. We've seen Splatoon 3 end a direct, which obviously by the sales numbers, Splatoon 3, that was pretty worth it. To end the direct with that. You know, we've seen Breath of the Wild 2 end a direct. So, you know, I guess you can technically end the direct with any game. I think it just still needs to be like a somewhat large game. You know, Xenoblade has been a series that's been growing. Bayonetta has been a game that a lot of people are waiting for to see a lot, so I see more from it. But yeah, I'm just gonna throw out a couple more series that, you know, possibly we see. You could see a Yoshi game. We haven't had a Yoshi game since 2019, so, you know, every 3 years. Well, we got a Yoshi game in Woolly World in 2016 or 2015. In 2015. So, you know, I guess technically we could see a new Yoshi game. Like, they announced it here, they release it next year. That'd be another 4 years from, which is crazy. It's been 4 years since Crafted, or 3 years since Crafted World. You know, we could see Mario and Luigi. Well, okay, I'm just looking at something right now, but we could see Mario and Luigi. Kind of doubt that, but just because Alpha Dream shut down. Maybe Nintendo brought on some of the employees to work, you know, in a studio. Maybe they're able to make another Mario and Luigi. Yeah, you know, the last thing I guess we could see is some amiibos tomorrow. You know, I think that's actually probably the most likely thing I've said in this part of the video, that we see amiibos tomorrow. Just because, you know, I think we see there's been Smash amiibos that we haven't, that we're waiting for to see. You know, there's been maybe Breath of the Wild 2 gets an amiibo, which I don't think they would feel, but maybe Breath of the Wild 2 has amiibos. Maybe the Metroid remake has amiibos. Maybe they re-release some Zelda amiibos for the remasters. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have prediction-wise for this Nintendo Direct. I am extremely excited for it. I know this video I started off a lot more like, you know, but then I got a lot more excited, sounding, and then I got into a lot more talking. But I'm very excited for it. You know what? I just saw another game. What if we see ARMS 2? That'd be crazy. ARMS 2 appears in the Nintendo Direct. That'd be actually That'd be crazy. But I like ARMS, so ARMS would be a very cool series. You know what? Let's think of one more game. What if we see new Style Savvy, or Nintendogs coming back to Switch, or Starfy. Starfy's not really a Nintendo franchise, but Starfy, or I don't know, Resident Evil exclusive. Maybe Capcom gave Nintendo the ability to reveal Ace Attorney 7. Or maybe we see a Sony game get ported. There isn't a Sony presentation tomorrow. What if we see a Sony game appear on the Switch outside of MLB The Show? Maybe we see definitely not a new Smash Brothers. Maybe we see Astral Chain 2, or we see that's really the only games I had around me. Or maybe we see some updates for Big Brain Academy. So there's a lot of possibilities in this direct of things we may or may not see. Let's throw out one more prediction. Let's think of one more thing. You know what? Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4. This channel does talk about Marvel sometimes. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 4. Or maybe a new Labo. There's a lot of games. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this prediction, speculation video. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all are as excited as me as for the Nintendo Direct. It's only at this point of finishing this video and getting everything together. It's less than 12 hours away, which is crazy. It's crazy. We haven't had a Direct in over or around 6 months or 6 months. Oh, 8 months, 6 months, 7 months. 7 months. We haven't had a Direct in around 7 months. So that's actually crazy. And there's been a lot of hype building up to this Direct because of we didn't get one in June, so we haven't really seen what Nintendo has been working on in that sense since February Direct. And that can include a multitude of different games. Even that can include just a new IP being revealed by Nintendo. So before I keep just throwing out a bunch of predictions, a bunch of third-party games. Actually, I don't actually know a lot of third-party games that could be coming to Switch. So, and obviously this channel, I'm a lot more into Nintendo games than third parties. As you can tell by most of the content I upload on this channel, but I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. I'm beyond excited to see what Nintendo shows off tomorrow or today, depending on where you are in the world, because you could be in a different time zone. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I want to thank you for supporting me. I've been growing somewhat, I've been growing at a somewhat faster pace than I usually I've grown at on this YouTube channel. So I'm very thank you all for I know a lot of people probably come for the Pokemon content, or some people come for the Marvel content and some for the Pokemon cards or TCG content, and then obviously some people for Nintendo content. So I'm glad to have a somewhat wide spectrum of different things that I address on this channel. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I probably will live stream the Direct, or I will just record my reaction and then upload that as soon as possible after the Direct finishes. But yeah, if you all have any predictions, you all can put it down in the comments below. But until next time, make sure you make you happy, because it rhymes to generic happy. Make sure you make sure you stay safe, and I will see you all in the next one, probably with the Nintendo Direct actual reaction. I do have a couple more videos. I haven't uploaded my reaction to the Pokemon trailer yet, and I have a couple videos of Pokemon TCG that I am waiting to upload. But obviously this video takes priority because the Nintendo Direct is, again, in less than 12 hours at the time of me finishing this video. So, yeah, I'm super excited for tomorrow, and I will see you all there. Again, make sure to make you happy, because everyone's generic happy, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye. So upon listening to my predictions video, I realized I forgot one key prediction that I always make in all my prediction videos So I don't know how I forgot about it, but that is a sequel or just a new game in the Captain Toad series. Obviously, the first game's already on Switch, but you know, I think it'd be really cool if you got another game in the Captain Toad series, or even like a new 3D World Super Mario 3D World game, and that has like Captain Toad in it. You know, get some new Captain Toad levels, but I think that'd be really cool. But I don't expect that to happen. Again, I don't really expect many of the predictions and speculation many games in the speculation and prediction as part of this video to actually happen, but I still think it'd be pretty exciting for you know, at least maybe one or two of these. You know, we had new Wario, we had new Star Fox, we had a new Kid Icarus or Kid Icarus Uprising port, and a Captain Toad game. We get a new Kirby, we get Super Mario Odyssey 2. You know, there's a lot of things that Nintendo can show off tomorrow, or at least have the possibility of showing off tomorrow. Obviously, you know, some of these games might not even be, you know, in any development, but you know, we could see a couple new Wii U ports. There was rumors, a lot of rumors about this being like a GameCube extravaganza. So maybe, and obviously, you know, with the Metroids and the Zeldas, and you know, the possible F-Zero GX, that could be an extravaganza from the GameCube. So yeah. Again, I hope you all do make you happy, because I'm happy, and happy. And I will see you all in the next one, which will probably be my reaction to this Nintendo Direct, which it's only 12 hours away, but, or less than 12 hours away at the point I'm recording, and by the time this video is uploaded. But I'll see you all in the next one. Make sure you happy, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.